Hello, this is day 62 or 61? 62, okay. Okay, so we had to... Again, I watched this video off camera. It was like a 5-minute video or something like that. I might rewatch it now, but for now I want to watch this one, which is like 20 minutes long or something. I'm curious of this can what can this teach me. It's like I didn't search for it, but maybe it's
So you
worth
want to
watch
learn
it.
late game macro, but
It's worth to watch it. So I'm going to mute myself so the video doesn't have like echo. Yeah, let's watch it.
not just the basic stuff. You want to know what to do when every game is complete chaos. How do pros know when enemies will overextend before they even see them to consistently find picks? Why do they stack two solo laners on the same side lane, and how do they make these decisions instantly? I want you to be able to understand macro, to learn how to analyze the macro decisions of pros and apply their knowledge in your own games. I've condensed my knowledge into 3 stages of late game macro concepts which will allow you to achieve that goal. So let's get into the first stage, the foundation. Macro concepts build onto each other, so we're gonna start simple. You have to pressure lanes by pushing. That much you probably already know, but do you even know fundamentally what the end goal is? Why are we even pressuring? If you can't answer this question, you'll push out your lane and just get confused. Wasting time in League is one of the worst things you can do, especially after you just created a temporary advantage for yourself. This is what you need to fix first. The end goal of every macro play is to take control over an area. When an assassin pushes outside lane and enters the enemy jungle to flank mid, they are using their pressure to take control over the neutral mid lane territory. The correct play for the enemies is to respect and to give up control until they can take it back. If they don't respect, they die. So before you learn how to take control, there's one more question that you need to answer. What area do you even want to contest? When you watch low elo players, they usually push waves to take turrets. This is a bad strategy. Sieging for turrets is one of the most risky things you can do. While their gold value is huge, you also have to take the risk that comes with them into account. Due to the shape of the map, the closer you move to the enemy side, the faster they can rotate compared to your teammates. On top of that, you move past your own vision and of course fight near a turret. No, turrets are what you take when you know the enemies can't contest them. This is how much control you need to win any League game. Access to all neutral objectives and some of the enemy jungle camps, as well as control over the lanes to push them out properly. More on that in a bit. Neutral objectives in the late game are the ultimate reward for a well executed play. Once you gain control over river and sit there with 5 people, let's just say hypothetically, it's gonna be extremely difficult for the enemies to retake that space. They will need to split up or face check into you, which gives you all the advantage you need to find a pick or good engage. Challenger players have been abusing this strategy for years now. Take river control, set up vision, wait for people to face check. If you want to fight with your enemies, all you have to do is take control of an area of interest and then wait for them to come to you. Kinda like in lane, where if you posture aggressively, the enemy will eventually have to come to you to get farm. The objective is a magnet that sooner or later pulls enemies towards it. So when you don't know what to do, hold an area proactively instead of random sieges or invades that give you a big disadvantage. You're just gonna end up throwing your lead. But invading isn't always bad, if you do it properly. Moving deep into the enemy jungle can also be an area of interest for the opponents. Maybe the jungler wants to take Raptors, or one of the side laners is about to rotate through to mid, giving you the perfect opportunity for a pick. Late game neutral objectives are king, followed by taking space in key jungle areas to set up picks or to steal camps. That's what we want. The end goal. So the right macro play is to run to whatever area holds the most value, right? Not quite. There are a couple of things that make the game dynamic. Most importantly, waves. If you're a jungler or support watching, you don't usually push out waves, but remember that League is a team game. To make the right macro decisions yourself, you need to know at least the basics of what your teammates have to do. You'll see what I mean in stage 2. Okay, so naturally, if you send 5 people to river, you are no longer able to defend your turrets. What used to be overly risky, sieging for turrets, is now absolutely risk-free. So you should go defend your turret? But now, if the enemy moves to the objective, your team is outnumbered and probably loses control over the main area of interest, and with that, the objective. It's a lose-lose situation. Either you lose your turret and farm for a neutral, or you lose the neutral for nothing. This is what people mean when they say pressure. You want to do that to your opponents. Push the wave, make them choose which of their options is less bad. If they decide to rotate to the objective, just taking their turret is usually a win for you, but more commonly, enemies will defend their turret. Now you have successfully locked them in lane and have first move, also referred to as prio. This is your bread and butter macro to find good fights on any champ. To apply the maximum amount of pressure, you'd like to utilize this concept on all 3 lanes. But there are some exceptions to this rule, so when coming out of base you need to look at the map so that you understand what your assigned lane looks like. For example, if your enemy already took the turret on your lane, not defending right away isn't nearly as bad, so grouping might be more valuable. The same goes for when the area of interest is an important late game objective. Now giving up a turret is worth it as long as you can secure the objective in return. Okay, push out, take control. Wait, okay, let's address the elephant in the room. You know what you want to do, but you lost your early game. The enemy is simply stronger than you, so how can you push? Now you have a problem. You can't generate numbers advantages by pressuring cause the enemy can just pressure you. So what now? Just sit back and suffer while the enemy keeps pushing you in and finds good place on the map? In order to do anything other than hiding under your turret, you rely on your enemies to give you room to breathe. But good news, the lower rank you are, the more often you'll get opportunities for a comeback. Ideally, you want to avoid interacting with your enemy as much as possible. If they're side lane, you'd love to group and fight, and if they're grouping, you'd love to split push. All it takes is for your enemy to stop pushing you in, and they have tons of reasons to do that. They want to use their lead to snowball, so they will rotate to objectives or random fights, and eventually they will have to recall as well. Defend your lane as well as you can, and when your matchup leaves to try and carry the game elsewhere, start split pushing. Eventually you will have pressure 1v0. Either you get a turret which propels you back into the game, or your opponents come to defend and now you can look for your own play on the map. And with that, both sides keep creating windows of numbers advantages which the teams can try to capitalize on. Of course that's not as good as being able to pressure 1v1, but you shouldn't have lost lane then. But sometimes you come out of base and you see that your enemy still needs some time to threaten your turrets. Until you have to go and defend, you can try to find a fight. Especially if your team has good engage, this can be massive. But if we swap sides, that's how you end up in the classic macro dilemma, farming while your enemy laner is killing your team somewhere else. Then your team flames you for not grouping. There's nothing you can do about this, all your team has to do is respect for 30 seconds until you pushed out and created your window. Then you can take any space you want as a team. Praying that your team takes a bad 4v5 is the only counterplay your enemy has. Don't learn the wrong lesson from this, pushing out lanes is still good. Again though, the longer the game lasts, the more important these teamfights become, so for Sol or Baron you'll group even without pressuring first. Ideally you have a minute to set up your lane before the objective is up, that way you can do both. Now how do you apply all this while playing? Let's look at an example from one of my coaching sessions. So when you come out of... Actually, let's just watch it first and break it down after. So when I come out of base here, I look at the map again, 2 options for me. This Drake is kind of important that you guys get it, but you won't make it in time. Now the Drake is gone, your Wukong stole it. This fight isn't that important anymore, right? No matter what happens in this fight, if you get a top wave, the tower, and deny a cannon wave, that's worth like 2 kills. And then imagine, right, you push the tower, push out the next wave, now they have to defend top. So let's analyze this. First step when you come out of base, what area do you want to play for? This guy was diamond, so he already does that part automatically. He looks at the map and sees that his team is contesting 3rd Drake, and then he also checks the lanes to see that no enemy is pressuring any turrets, so he can walk to Drake without losing a ton. What he didn't realize is that Drake would already be gone by the time he's there. He can't make it in time, so playing for Drake isn't an option. Now he has to find a new area to play for. If we think about it like that, once the fight is over, Mortar will want to go bot, so right now we're technically stacking 2 solo laners on the same side. Instead, Akshan should run top and start pressuring there. On one hand, the enemies have 5 people on that bot side play, so he would get the top turret for free. No matter what happens at Drake, this could have been a huge win for him. But even more important than that, he sets up for the next play by forcing an enemy to defend. That play will be Atakan, who spawns in a minute. Because he made this macro mistake, his Mordekaiser recalls after the fight and walks to top. Of course, he doesn't have enough time to push out anymore, so the fight ends up a 5v4 instead of a 4v5. What seemed like a little mistake lost them 2 waves, the top tier one, and Atakan, and all it came down to was pinning down the area of interest and then looking at the lanes. This guy hit Master after our session, which is awesome. If you're interested in coaching as well, reach out to me on Discord. I can't promise you'll instantly hit Master, but you'll know what you personally have to improve at to gain the most LP over the next weeks. But I've also got some free resources on my Discord, some coaching bots, a full list of skills you need to reach Master, and I'll actually put my tier list there soon as well. Just come by and say hello. Now you have a rough outline of what questions you improve at to gain the most LP over the next weeks. And I'll actually put my tier list there soon as well. Just come by and say hello. Now you have a rough outline of what questions your macro decisions have to answer. We're about to give some specificity to these ideas and add your teammates and game state into the equation. Once you're ready to go, make sure you press the subscribe button to unlock the second stage. But don't worry if you need a sec. I can wait. Alright, you push out your lane and lock your enemy under turret to create a favorable fight for Drake, the area of interest you've successfully pinpointed when coming out of base. You did everything just like I said. But now you look at the map and nobody's coming. Your jungler is solo invading and your ADC is recalling. What a disaster, but keep your head in the game. It's important that you know the general rule, but what's just as important is that you judge every situation individually. Without your team, contesting Drake is a waste of time. No matter how strong you are or how good your macro is, the moment the laning phase ends, the game turns into a 5v5. Even if your team is complete trash, you need them to occupy your enemies to be able to carry the game. Let's use this average Kalista player as an example. She misplayed lane. Of course, she would never admit that, but now she's rage splitting the entire game. And when you go side lane with her, she goes mid and gets solo killed there instead. How can you even work with that, right? Well, there is a way to play around her. Look, she responds. Here are your 2 scenarios. 1, you just ignore she exists. You look for some fight, it's a 4v6 anyway, so let's flip it and see what happens. But here's option 2. You wait 30 seconds and give her time to start pushing. Of course, the enemy mid goes to kill your ADC again, but now you start the fight. You sacrifice them, time your play around their death so that you can still achieve your goal and fight a fair 4v4. To win, you rely on your teammates. Not to be good, but to occupy your enemies proactively. I've coached hundreds of players and trust me, 80% of fights in your rank are lost because one side is outnumbered. It's that simple. Often it doesn't even matter who won or lost lane, cause nobody pays attention to the numbers advantages anyways. That's why games in your rank last so long. But what does proactive mean? How can you tell that a teammate is proactive? Let's look at some examples. What players do you think are currently proactive here? Obviously Poppy, J4 and Corki are. Usually I say, for simplicity, that people who move past their own sides into the river or beyond are proactive. But in this case that's not quite accurate. Any player who's threatening to take something of high value is proactive. If the turrets on top and bot were still up, Aatrox and Ahri would be proactive. In this case, they still need some time, so if J4 engages here, that will be bad. Ahri needs to push out and move, and Aatrox also needs to push, but to pressure the turret. You see, you can have multiple areas of interest at the same time as a team. Now, if we keep playing, Corki has to head back mid to push another wave, and Aatrox has now got pressure on bot, which means Ori has to answer him. Jarvan moved backwards, but he actually has pressure as well, since he's threatening to capture Herald. In this example, we can see everyone has already pushed out and is coming out of base. Everyone besides Corki. Now Corki is passive, so the rest of the team has to decide whether they want to play the map as 4 or just give him 20 seconds to come back. And this is high challenger, so you can see how Ahri and Aatrox move back to their lane like clockwork, push out another wave and then play as 5. In high-low, if you autopilot and mess up your tempo, your entire team has to wait for you. Super annoying. Your team won't be able to play because the enemies won't make the same mistake. But in low elo, this is completely different. Your teammates won't sync up with you at all, but of course the enemies won't either, so if you do, you will get an insane advantage. Wait for your team to be ready and also make sure you'll be ready on time, since they probably haven't watched this video and are about to get collapsed on. Imagine trying to get on the same bus as your team. If you miss it, you have to wait for the next bus and the party starts without you. And if you take one too early, you'll have to wait for your gang at the bus stop. I mean, you can try partying on your own, but that isn't gonna work very well. Only in high-low is your friend group responsible enough to wait for you and to be on time themselves. That's a good thing. This is easy to implement and matters like 10 times every single game all the way until Master or GM. Now, junglers and supports. You don't have any assigned lanes, so how do you decide what to do? You could go anywhere, right? Seemingly endless choices: invade, gank, clear, ward, play for an objective. The answer lies in the example we just watched. What did Jarvan and Poppy do while Aatrox and Ahri went back to push out another wave? Did you pay attention? They both certainly did. We're talking about Skewmont and Targamas here. You can see the moment on the map when they decide to wait for Corki. It's somehow at the same time. Strange. Your laners have to push out before they can move, so you match your tempo to be available at the exact time the others will be as well. These two roles are the most flexible ones, so it's easy for you to synchronize your tempo with your laners. Next time you watch a challenger, jungler or support, pay attention to their macro. You will see that they skip camps when their team is pushing out waves to give them backup. But when their team is based, they will do something that they can't be engaged for while everyone needs time to regroup. Farm, ward, base themselves, just find something to do that won't get you killed. This is how you read the map and make high-level macro decisions instead of getting confused by the insane amount of options there on the map. You make it depend on your team. Whatever side your jungler decides to play on is referred to as strong side, because you're stronger on that side. The laner that is strong side will have a much easier time accessing the map. There will be vision and teammates in the river to spot potential traps. That allows them to push out and rotate safely. The weak side laner, on the other hand, will have to play more respectful, at least until they see some enemies on the map. Everyone wants to be strong side, so since the jungler can't decide, the jungler always gets flamed. But what is the right choice? I mean, what determines who to open up the map with? As a general rule, the winning laners should become the strong side, because they are most likely to win fights and secure areas after pushing out. You wouldn't want your strongest player to get into a situation where they are 1v3, have to give push and now can't make it to the fight. It also wouldn't be a very strong side if the laner you're playing with is 0 and 5. Sometimes though, the main objective is on the opposite side of the laner you want to play around. Now you need to consider whether you want to contest it without them, stall for them, or look for a cross-map play instead. Of course you want to contest the highest value area at all times, but sometimes it just isn't possible. It could be that you're behind, that your team randomly got caught mid, whatever the reason, now it's important that you strong side the opposing side. The enemy's numbers are on the primary objective, which means that their other side is completely unguarded. Don't waste that. The moment you realize you aren't contesting that Drake, look at the other side and take as much from the enemies as you can. This is such a common thing in high-low. Whenever I notice that my enemies aren't contesting Drake, I ping back my weak side laner on the other side. They almost always become the target for a play. Applying these concepts is technically easy when you try to pay attention, but most players skip asking these crucial questions when actually playing. What are we playing for next? Is my team able to contest? And then my team can't contest, what do I do now? Cross-map? Go try it in your own games, and once you see how much you get rewarded, it'll be easy to turn these steps into habits. Depending on what your champ does best, your macro changes. Everyone knows that. A Yorick will split push and a Malphite will ult the ADC. Mages and marksmen will have to be extra careful on side lane, while assassins enter the enemy jungle to find picks on unsuspecting enemies. A Zac though would hover his team instead of invading, since he is an engager and can't reliably one-shot enemies he would find in the jungle, just to give you some ideas. What you want to play for is connected with your champion's identity. Yorick does insane damage to turrets, but he can't use that strength when teamfighting, so he teamfights less. In this case it's obvious, but could you explain how this works for Aurelia, Riven or Viego? How do their strengths influence their macro? What even are their strengths exactly? You can imagine how complicated and specific that gets, so I won't bore you with information for champs that you don't even play. But here's a deal I can offer you. I recently started a champion analysis series where I take a deep dive into a champion's identity, their mechanics, combos, and macro tendencies, all the stuff you need to know about your main. You can find these videos on my Patreon, but I just started making them, so your main probably won't be there yet, which is why right now, if you become a member, you can DM me and I'll make one of these champion analyses for your main. That way, if you want to support me, you can be sure that there'll be something in it for you. Alright, brief summary, I want you to make sure you check what your teammates are up to. Who is proactive? Do you have to wait for somebody? Are you on strong or weak side? Whenever you are about to contest something, you need to read the map. Enemies naturally want to defend those high value areas, so if they send multiple people to you, your team has to be able to get something in return. And maybe even you should give something up when you're outnumbered so that you don't get caught and slow your team down. And with that, we conclude the second stage. Understanding these first two stages set the groundwork to fully comprehend what separates the best players in the world from us, mere humans. Now we've reached pro play territory. Don't worry, you don't need to press subscribe again to unlock this one, that would actually be really bad.
For a bit of a back in, possibly baited in. Is that
Pro play isn't magic. You now know almost every macro concept that they use, which is crazy because you probably heard of most of them at some point. The difference between you and a pro isn't in the knowledge, it's in the application. This stuff gets quite complex, so let's work with examples. This first clip is from Chovy. Take a look at the game state, where do you think he's going to go? I'm not gonna do this on my own, guys, pay attention and think.
I think he's going to go. Wait, are these two enemies? I cannot see properly. Oh, it's not. Okay, he's going to go.
Where do you think he's going?
Bot lane. He's going here, and then he's gonna farm here and push a little bit. Oh wait, what is this, Baron?
To go. This first clip is from Chovy.
Okay, it cannot be Baron, that's probably Herald. But is Herald so important? Like that important that Chovy has to go as well? Maybe only these people go there. I think he's going Crabs and then pushing bot lane.
Take a look at the game state, where do you think he's going to go?
Wait, okay, yeah.
I'm not gonna do this on my own, guys, pay attention and think. His team is already top and mid and the bot lane wave is in a position where he can safely catch it as Hui. Let's get some solo gold and XP and then push out as far as possible to make sure you can move without losing your turret. Every master player would go and do that, but this is Chovy. Think about what we learned earlier. Coming out of base.
Okay, so he's not going to do that. Then he's probably going to Herald, I guess. Or maybe this is Baron, I don't really know in which minute Baron comes out, but I don't think it's on minute like 14 or 15. I don't know when Baron comes out. Okay, wait, I'm gonna search it. Oh, if it's on minute 15, okay, it's on 15, sorry, it's on minute 20, so there's no way this is Baron, this is Herald. And if he's not going bot lane, then I don't know, I don't really know, like, okay, Chovy is really good player and all of that, but isn't the best option to go cracks and then farm this? Wait, the jungler is here, so you don't want to steal the jungle to your own jungler. So maybe if the jungler is going to go here, maybe Wei, like Chovy, is going here. So if he doesn't go cracks, he's probably going to go, I don't know, here, wolves, or I don't know how this is called. I don't know. This monster of the jungle, I don't remember the name. And maybe then fight Herald. But shouldn't Lee Sin go here and then Herald and Chovy go bot lane? Isn't that like the best play? I don't know, let's see what he does.
His first. Think about what we learned earlier. Coming out of base, his first step is to pinpoint the area of interest. His jungler and support are moving towards topside. With nothing up at Herald, it's obvious what they are about to contest. Since Chovy's assigned lane is spot and he has no TP, he has to calculate for a second. He doesn't know what Asol is going to do. You can see that his instinct is to walk bot initially. If he doesn't go bot and Asol does, he will just lose the bot tier 1 and a bunch of farm. But then he realizes no matter what Asol does, moving to Herald is the best decision. If Asol goes bot, the Herald fight is a 5v4. The numbers advantage will secure the objective, which they can use to take the mid turret while Asol takes the bot tier 1. Maybe they can also set up a trap since the enemies won't expect Hui to be there. But his team is already winning. They can likely just secure it as 4, so why give up the bot tier 1 and let the enemy cross map this easily? Well, what if Asol instead groups while Hui goes bot? Hui doesn't have TP and the enemy turret is already gone, so Chovy wouldn't be able to get anything there. That would be super bad for his team. So instead of going bot, he moves top and gives up his turret to Hover Aatrox, letting him push out and get Prow. He knows what information to look at and...
Okay, so the difference between Chovy and me was that I didn't know how much or how important was Herald, because obviously Baron is more important than Herald, but is Herald more important than a tier 1 turret? I guess so, right? But I just don't know like which things are more important than others, you know? So I couldn't really know the answer here. Anyways, I learned something, right? Herald is more important than tier 1 turrets. Okay. Let's keep watching.
Predicts what will happen in the future to make this Prow. He knows what information to look at and predicts what will happen in the future to make this clean macro decision. This next example is from Rekkles. Their team's win condition is Nemesis on Kayle scaling up to level 16 ASAP. Right as he resets, his jungler cancels the recall to look for a pick on bot, which was not part of his plan. Why would you even try to make a play on weak side here? I mean, it's Xante. With his jungler, Rekkles would have strong-sided Kayle or Ashe to help them push out and then take river control to set up vision, letting Kayle play side lane proactively. That's the area of interest he was going for since no neutral objective is up. But without Vi, he can't do that. Instead of getting confused and just walking mid to share XP while waiting for Vi, who is meanwhile inting 2v1 on bot, he realizes something else.
I think when we're fighting bot, this guy's gonna troll now. I'm pretty sure he's just trolling. Yeah.
He knows that Garen is looking at the fight on bot lane as well and will assume that bot is currently the strong side of Los Ratones. His team is strong siding top, so Garen thinks he can easily play aggressive and push out. Rekkles realized that there's a short window for a pick here while Garen has this false sense of security, and this one is really short. If they overchase, the enemies could collapse instantly, so he also needed his laner to specifically be a DPS champion high enough damage to kill a Garen quickly. When watching this live, it seems like Garen is just inting, but he definitely looked at the map before deciding to walk up this far. Rekkles just predicted it. After getting this pick, they can now push out topside without Vi and then look at how much space they take afterwards, one time across the entire enemy jungle. They almost find another pick on Zyra because of that. Keep in mind, their enemies are also challenger players. Imagine what you could do in your games. But wait a second. There's another macro play Rekkles did here that was essential for all of this to work and you didn't even notice it. How is Braum even top right now? It's not like Rekkles called that Garen will int when he started walking out of base. He called it when he was already almost there. That wasn't luck. Often when you look at the map, you won't see an obvious area of interest, especially when you play roles like support or ADC that can't start fights on their own. But if you don't know where to go, that doesn't mean you can just shut off your brain and go AFK. Imagine Braum was silver and just walked mid to share XP with Ashe when Garen overextends. Instead, you have to walk to where you think you'll most likely get rewarded in the future. Braum couldn't reach bot in time and Ashe was never gonna be able to play aggressive in mid without Vi, so he went to the only place that he might be able to get some value. Putting it like that, it sounds easy, but predicting a play when you can't see a single enemy on the map is harder than you think. And it's difficult to learn, because you don't actually notice you did anything wrong when you miss out on a kill that's miles away. Just keep in mind for the future, if you don't see any obvious play, you can hover near an area in case the enemy overextends or tries to go for a play on your team. Close that distance before you actually see what to do. In pro play, you have to predict how your enemies will behave. If you only act when the enemies make obvious mistakes, good opponents will notice and slip away before you can catch them. The strong side Garen wants to push out and take topside control with his team, and the Tam thinks that Garen is safe since the enemy team is bot, so he wants to be efficient and set up vision as fast as possible. Everyone is thinking about strong side, weak side, where people could be, where they might overextend, but this sort of prediction would be impossible in gold, because you can't assume Garen will know he's on strong or weak side and have this false sense of security. Who knows, maybe he's following his jungler around to steal his camps. He will make more basic mistakes you can punish though, for example overextend even though he is on weak side. There's one thing all of these clips had in common, that step to assess the area of interest. They also all checked the position of their teammates and enemies as well as the map state, played properly around their strong side and maximized the potential of their champions. That should be your goal with macro. If I missed an important macro concept that you want me to cover in the future, let me know in the comments. Big thanks to my supporters on Patreon, don't tilt, see you next time.
Okay, there's a lot of information. I didn't get everything. Like, obviously, if you asked me a question about something he said on the video, I probably won't be able to answer it. But I don't know. I like to just gain information on my brain and keep what I remember. Like, I'm not going to study the video or anything. I'm just gonna, like, I watched the video and now I remember a few things. That's enough. I like the video, I like this guy, to be honest. And now I think I'm going to play the game already. No, actually, let's practice a little bit. I don't wanna get too confident, but I don't want to put a bot this time. What is this? Hello? It doesn't load. No. Okay, hopefully that doesn't happen in an actual game. Okay, so what do I remember from the video? It seems like Herald is more important than tier 1. Your macro depends on your team, like on your team decisions. Like, for example, if you have me as a mid laner, wait, is this loading or not? If I have to go side lanes, but my AD carry doesn't go mid lane, then I'm not going to go side lane, even though I should be doing that. So I obviously have to pay attention to my teammates at least a little bit. Okay, it's taking so long, so I don't think it's loading. Yep. How can I leave the game? Oh, by the way, yesterday I was confused because I got placed in Iron 1, but I asked if that was that was like a common thing, like to be placed in a lower rank when a new season begins. And yeah, it seems like you always get placed a little bit lower in a lower rank but yeah, that's common. So yeah, it's alright then. It's not loading. Now I cannot even close it. Technical difficulties, technical issues. Okay, that's enough. Oh wait, I cannot do that either. Now what do I do then? Okay, I can close that. Oh, I don't know if this is loading or not. It seems like I exit the game, but the window is still here. I cannot close it. I'm going to try again. Nope, it doesn't work. I mean, I would restart my computer, but I don't want to stop the recording, so I don't know what to do. Okay, what if I log out from Windows, do my apps or my programs close or not? I'm going to try. Oh, maybe. So what do I do? You don't want to stop the recording? Okay, you know what? Whatever. Like I cannot do anything. That's it.